Hello there folks, welcome back to another marvelous video. Ever since Ridley Scott released his iconic space horror flick Alien in 1979, fans have been captivated by this franchise. 46 years down the line, and the film has spawned a massive franchise, spanning several sequels, spin-offs, novels, and video games. It continues to grow to this day, with its latest venture transitioning from the silver screen to your home through the TV show Alien Earth. The series is set in the year 2219, and Earth is now controlled by 4 major corporations that operate under a tenuous peace pact. Each of these corporations seeks to secretly undermine the others to seize complete control, leading them to conduct harrowing and dangerous experiments and research in secret. If you're familiar with the Alien franchise, you probably already know the name of one of these corporations, Wayland-Yutani. In the shadow of their failed attempts to colonize space and find a cure for mortality, the xenomorph threat has finally reached the cradle of human civilization, Earth. When a deep space research vessel owned by them carrying multiple alien specimens crashes on Earth in their rival's territory, the true terror of the xenomorphs and the horrors of space are finally unleashed on Terra itself. Amidst the wreckage is a cyborg by the name of Morrow, who has a mysterious role to play in all of this, including the crash. Driven by an unwavering sense of loyalty and hidden trauma of his past, he must begin a one-man covert retrieval mission of the company's hostile assets behind enemy lines. Morrow is played with a brooding intensity by the talented Babu Sise, and it's a genuine thespian masterclass to witness, evoking a sense of dread and horror with a hint of humanity that lingers beneath the surface. As we peel back the layers of this loyal Wayland-Yutani servant, we not only find an individual shaped by trauma, but also someone who reflects the dying idea of what it truly means to be human in this world. Morrow is more than just an antagonist. He represents the cost of survival and the human soul in a world where mankind has lost its path. In today's video, we'll explore everything we know so far regarding Morrow, from his tragic origins to his powers and abilities, along with everything else in between. By the end of this video, we hope that you not only gain the necessary knowledge about this character as a whole, but also develop a deeper understanding about the world that the Alien franchise is based in. So strap in, because this time, we're not headed to space as the action has followed us back to Earth. Let's begin. Secret origins and early life. Suppose you are wondering, just like us, about what drives someone to be so loyal to a corporate entity like Morrow. The answers lie deep within his tragic past. Morrow was originally a fully organic human whose early life was shaped by the disability he had. You see, Morrow suffered from palsy in his left arm, which rendered it useless as it was beyond his control. He would often be seen with his arm flailing uncontrollably, which would make him an object of derision and scorn in his youth. Ostracized and isolated, Morrow would spend his early life unable to form meaningful human connections. It was at this absolute low point in his life, when he was the most vulnerable, that Wayland-Yutani Corporation would approach him, noticing the potential he had for them. They would offer him a fresh start and a new lease on life with a cybernetic arm, transforming him from a mere human into a cyborg. He would, at some point, become a father and start leading a normal life under the Wayland-Yutani Corporation, becoming fiercely loyal to them for what they had given him. His biggest mission would come when he would be appointed as the chief security officer aboard the deep space research vessel USCSS Maginot. Little would he know at the time that this mission would push the boundaries of his humanity to the extreme. During his 65-year-long mission aboard the Maginot, Morrow would suffer the first blow to his humanity when his daughter perished back on Earth. The child was perhaps his only anchor to humanity and someone who was a priority to him aside from his duty towards Wayland-Yutani. With her dead, something else died inside him along with her, and he becomes even more single-mindedly focused on his mission. Letting the mission fail would not only mean that he had failed the people who had given him his new life, it would also signify that all of his sacrifices, including not being there for his dying daughter, meant nothing. Long-term fans of the franchise might find some similarity to Ash, who's a cold and calculating synthetic from the original film, but unlike him, Morrow seems to be still tethered to his human emotions. Morrow is defined by his traumatic past and transformed into the perfect pawn who could decide the fate of the entire game, played by the 4 major corporations that rule the Earth. How does Morrow's cyborg nature differ from that of the androids? While a cyborg and an android are both humanoid in appearance and have machine parts within them, they're fundamentally very different from one another. Morrow's cyborg nature is inherently different in terms of origin, biology, psychology, and cultural relevance from the androids or the synthetics, as they're called in the Alien franchise. Starting with their origin, Morrow was born human and then modified with cybernetic implants later in his life. This is true for other cyborgs as well, and it might be easy to confuse a synthetic with the latter depending on the amount of cybernetic implants that they've received. Some cyborgs are so heavily enhanced that the line between human and machine is insanely blurred. The synthetics are basically created artificially from the start. They were never alive in the traditional sense to begin with. No matter how enhanced they are, cyborgs still contain key human organs within them, while the androids are biomechanical from the inside out with no human parts. The key thing to understand is that machine parts are grafted into a cyborg's human body, while synthetics are all machine to begin with. Morrow, for example, still bleeds and feels pain. His arm is a tool, not a foundational design element like a synthetic's modular systems. Let's now talk about how his psychological nature is different from a synthetic's as well. Morrow harbors within him the full spectrum of human emotions, memories, and consciousness. You can see the beads of sweat running down his face as he's pushed into a corner or when he's confronting the alien. Synthetics like David, meanwhile, show no fear or any sort of emotion, even when faced with mortal peril, for example, when in the hands of the engineer. Their intelligence is programmed, and their emotional responses come from a mere programmed mimicry of the real thing. Morrow's loyalty is genuine, and it comes from within him. The synthetics, however, are driven by pure machine intelligence and programming. The other thing that sets Morrow apart is that his actions aren't driven by his own free will. He has complete autonomy over his actions, which are conditioned by his trauma and other experiences. The synthetics can be fickle. While some obey the rules rigidly, like Ash, others like David rebel against their creator. These actions, however, aren't born of anything human, but due to a glitch in the system which grants them hypersentience. The greatest example of this is Morrow's pain over his daughter's death, his loyalty to Wayland-Yutani, and his existential crisis, which are all deeply human. Synthetics like Ash and David may emulate emotion, but their core decision-making is machine logic. Even the philosophy behind their creation is fundamentally different. Morrow and the rest of his kind were augmented to repair, enhance, or survive their conditions, whereas synthetics were built from the very start to perform specific tasks, like surveillance, diplomacy, and even scientific research. Due to their human base, cyborgs like Morrow are also prone to aging and medical complications, while synthetics don't require healing as much as they require repairs. They are also highly optimized to survive the environment that they're created to operate in and don't require things like food, water, or oxygen, unlike the cyborgs. Finally, Morrow and his kind are viewed as outdated and imperfect, while the synthetics are the latest and greatest that human technology has to offer. Thematically, Morrow represents the cost of human perseverance, while in contrast, the synthetics usually raise the question about what it means to be human at all. Morrow's mission and how his anatomy helps. Following the crash landing of the USCSS Maginot, his mission has now changed to retrieving and securing its cargo, which included xenomorph specimens, classified biotech, and unstable alien organisms. After becoming the sole survivor of the crash, he now operates covertly within Prodigy City to deliver his payload to Wayland-Yutani at all costs. We've already discussed his motivation for this mission, as he intends to prove his worth to his corporate overlords while ensuring that his sacrifices, including the death of his daughter, wasn't in vain. While it might seem like he's obsessively following orders, he's actually fighting for his own purpose in a world where cyborgs like him are quickly becoming obsolete. In terms of his anatomy and how it aids him, there are several factors we must discuss. It's not a mere coincidence that Morrow was assigned as the chief security officer aboard the USCSS Maginot. His body has been enhanced to serve as both a soldier and a field technician. While he's not as sleek as a synthetic, he is durable, brutal, and adaptive. Not to mention, he's driven by a strong human willpower that no machine can replicate. The highlight of his augmented anatomy is his arm, which is akin to a Swiss Army knife as it has multiple functions. We've seen it used as a cutting torch, a drill for accessing ship components, a blade for combat, and an interface tool for hacking and interacting with computers. Babu Sise, the actor behind the character, describes the arm as both a weapon and a lifeline. It's a relic that still allows Morrow to do his job despite being outdated. He also has augmented bones, joints, and muscles which allow him to survive high-impact crashes like the Maginot crash. He is fully able to engage in hand-to-hand combat with other augmented beings and is capable of dragging a drugged xenomorph effortlessly across the floor. Morrow also has cybernetic eye implants that allow him to see in low-light environments using infrared and thermal vision modes. He's also able to track biometric signatures, which can prove especially useful for tracking xenomorphs and stealth units. These abilities make him formidable in urban warfare, recovery, and reconnaissance missions. Morrow's neural enhancements also grant him enhanced memory and increased processing speed in the face of the situation. He's able to easily interface with computer systems, allowing him to reconstruct crash trajectories, navigate black sites and hidden Yutani bunkers, along with predicting security patterns and behavior. Once again, while not as fast as that of a synthetic, his enhanced processing power alongside his human judgment proves key in his prevailing in unpredictable situations. Believe it or not, the one thing about his anatomy that grants him an edge during his missions isn't any cybernetic augmentation, it's his so-called organic weakness that can prove to be his greatest strength. The fact that he still bleeds and feels pain serves as a constant reminder to him and the others that he's still human. This leads to people underestimating him, thinking that he's either broken or obsolete. His cyborg anatomy allows him to think like a man but fight like a machine, making it his greatest asset. Cyborg versus hybrid. What's the key difference? In the latest TV show, Alien Earth, we're told that in the future, the race for immortality comes in three forms: cybernetically enhanced humans called cyborgs, artificially created beings with AI called synthetics, and synthetic beings that have real human consciousness downloaded within them called hybrids. These so-called hybrids are the newest amongst these three different types of life forms and present endless possibilities for their use. Their creation, however, is even more morally complex, as it rings alarm bells regarding the ethics behind their creation, even more than the cyborgs or the synths. A cyborg like Morrow still retains his biological human body, which is merely augmented with mechanical parts. In the case of hybrids, just like the synths, their bodies are entirely artificial. There's no original biology left within them, only machinery and programming. The proof of this is that Morrow still bleeds while Wendy doesn't. Another key difference is the fact that Morrow retains his original organic brain and consciousness. He's the same person mentally and emotionally. The hybrid does bear the same consciousness that they possessed as a human, but it's a mere digital imprint, not the original. They cannot feel or process emotions naturally like humans do. Instead, these things have to be simulated through programming and the injection of hormones. Another fact is that since their bodies are synthetically created, they don't age like Morrow. This essentially means Wendy and the other hybrids are basically children trapped in adult bodies, and their growth must be monitored and guided ever so slowly from the outside. Now comes the moral complexity behind their creation. Unlike the procedure to become a cyborg, which can be conducted on fully grown adults, we're told that the adult brain is too complex to transfer into a synthetic shell to create hybrids. As such, the hybrids are created only using children as their source. Normally, these children are terminally ill and impressionable and are lured in by the promise of curing their disease and being reborn in an eternal and stronger body. They're not fully capable of making life-altering choices, as they're still minors. What essentially happens is voluntary euthanization, as these children are essentially killed with the digital imprint of their consciousness being transferred into artificial bodies, creating the illusion that they have transitioned into a newer life form. Their souls, and what essentially makes them human, however, doesn't transmigrate from their original body to the new one. This is why their creators constantly express bemusement at them trying to act human, as they are essentially not unlike the cyborgs. Another key aspect of their dehumanization is the fact that these hybrids are essentially property of their creator. They lose all semblance of freedom and faculty that ordinary humans enjoy. The cyborgs, in the meantime, are restricted by such things. They enjoy the same rights and freedoms as any ordinary human. Their allegiance is their own, and even people like Morrow, who are zealously loyal to their employers, are that way because of their own volition. Further, the chances of coercing someone to become a cyborg are much less than the chances of becoming a hybrid. Morrow retains his full human identity and emotions. He's driven by grief and responsibility, even resenting his human weakness. In contrast, hybrids like Wendy struggle with the cognitive dissonance of a child trapped in an adult's body, seeking agency in a world that dehumanizes them and treats them as property. How do cyborgs expand the alien universe lore? Cyborgs expand the Alien universe lore by acting as a category of transhumans that sit between human, synthetics, and hybrids. By doing so, they deepen the franchise's exploration of identity, control, and the cost of technological evolution. In the films, we've seen humans who are fragile, emotional, and ultimately expendable. We've also seen synthetics like Ash, Bishop, and David who have been built to serve or surpass humans. What the cyborgs do is add a middle layer. These individuals present a segment of humanity that is mechanically superior due to being enhanced by technology, but they remain grounded in their humanity thanks to their biology and, more importantly, their human consciousness. They raise an important question about how much tech a person can absorb before they stop being a person. Beyond the creature feature and the body horror, the Alien franchise has always been about corporate greed and its exploitation of life, from attempting to control xenomorphs to controlling AI. Cyborgs like Morrow show the initial attempts of these groups, like Wayland-Yutani's attempt to not just build machines, but build machines that they can upgrade, repair, and own. Enhancements, as seen in the case of Morrow, are not fully ethical or voluntary. They are often given as debt, loyalty tokens, or survival incentives to people handpicked by them. The cyborgs represent a chilling corporate future in the Alien franchise where even your own body can be a company asset in the most literal sense. Thanks to a cyborg's ability to retain their fears, trauma, loyalty, and regret, they allow us to explore more complex human themes from a familiar emotional baseline. In the case of Morrow, he's a man who owes his life to a system that exploits him, a situation that's relatable to most people. Cyborgs in the Alien franchise also set the groundwork for the transition of organic life to a mechanical form, and without them, one can argue that there would be no synthetics or hybrids. They are the stepping stones to the post-human era where flesh is rendered obsolete and immortality is an upload away. They also expand the moral complexity of the series, as in previous films, the synthetics were often wildcards who could either turn out to be saviors or antagonists. The cyborgs add another level of tension to this due to their capacity to feel human emotions, thus creating a tension based on identity as they raise the question regarding what it means to be considered human in Alien lore. Morrow's iPhone 1 feeling. What does it mean? In a pre-release interview, Babu Sise, the actor portraying the character Morrow, used an iPhone 1 analogy to describe his character's place and motivation in the wider Alien lore. This is, however, not a passing comment, but a deeply layered metaphor that reveals a lot about his self-image and the themes the show as a whole wants to explore. In the first episode, we got to witness the creation of a new type of transhuman life form called the hybrids, who are basically synthetics that have human consciousness downloaded into them from a real person. This indicates that humanity continues to make advancements to shed its mortal weaknesses, and the hybrids are the latest in its attempts to do so, following the synthetics. In this world, Morrow is indeed an iPhone 1, as he's a cyborg who's considered to be at the very bottom of this technological ladder. He views himself as outdated technology, and rightly so in many ways. He's a relic of the earliest experiments in human enhancement. This feeling of inferiority, compared to the newer tech-driven beings around him, creates an internal conflict where he's constantly trying to validate his usefulness and the meaning of his existence, leading him to perform drastic actions. Morrow is hyper-aware that he's no longer special as he was when they made him into a cyborg. Just like the iPhone when it launched, it was revolutionary, opening the avenue for technology that we never thought was possible. Morrow played a similar role. He opened up a whole new horizon of possibility regarding the integration of man and machine. However, just like the iPhone 1, he was soon rendered outdated as much better and upgraded models began to take his place. However, this must not be mistaken for self-pity. It's more of a diagnosis of his place within the system that constantly upgrades, discards, and replaces. Throughout the Alien franchise, the theme of replacing humans has been constant, from Ash, David, to the latest hybrids created by Prodigy. Morrow's character arc echoes this perfectly as he represents the first stage of human replacement, and while he's not completely irrelevant yet, the writing is on the wall, and he knows it. Just like an iPhone, he's a tool for his company, and the fact that he's more akin to an iPhone 1 makes him even more expendable. This begs the question, why does Wayland-Yutani still keep him under their employment? And the answer is quite brutally simple. The company keeps him around because they have not yet squeezed all the juice out of him. He's still serviceable. Due to him being an older model like the iPhone 1, the cost to maintain him is relatively low and outweighed by the benefit he provides. The moment this changes, he'll be disposed of quite easily. The iPhone metaphor perfectly encapsulates his emotional and thematic arc in the show. This is shown by the fact that he's useful but not admired, and he is human but no longer whole. He's a man surrounded by evolution as he's rapidly left behind and relegated to obsolescence. In this way, Morrow becomes more than just a cyborg or an iPhone. He's representative of everyone who's ever been replaced by someone younger, faster, and cheaper. a tale that makes him incredibly human and relatable to just about everybody in the working world.
It's coming!
Marvelous verdict! Morrow stands as a haunting remnant of the Maginot Crash. He's not merely a survivor reshaped by the forces that govern this world. His altered anatomy represents a blend of cybernetic augmentation and post-human resilience, raising critical questions about identity, survival, and the cost of evolution. What began as a desperate bid for him to regain a sense of normalcy transforms him into something entirely different. He's a symbol of adaptation under extreme conditions, a man caught between human vulnerability and mechanical rebirth. His transformation was not born purely out of ambition or scientific pursuit, but out of necessity to survive in a world that demands more than flesh and willpower. His anatomy is a testament to the fact that in the Alien franchise, evolution is no longer a slow process. Humanity has strayed into the realm of the gods as they can accelerate and impose evolution at a rapid pace through technology. Even though he's been altered into something that's more than just human, thanks to him still retaining much of his biology, memory, and choice, he's living proof that the human spirit continues to endure despite all the tinkering. We are constantly reminded that, despite Morrow trying to detach himself from his humanity to carry out his mission, he's still a man marked by the trauma of loss. Morrow walks alone, not as a higher being, but as a witness. He's the last breath of a mission that once stood for exploration, unity, and human progress underpinned by greed. As the technological advancements of the time begin to render him obsolete, Morrow stands as a relic who's part human, part machine, and wholly out of place. We hope that with this video, we were able to not only grant you insight into Morrow, but also pique your interest in the Alien franchise as a whole. Thanks for sticking with us right to the very end of this one. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the rest of our channel. We post daily videos featuring all your favorite movies, TV shows, and characters, so there's always something new for you to enjoy. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. For now, though, it's time for us to say goodbye. We hope to see you soon in the next one, but until then, stay safe and stay marvelous. That's all we got for you this time, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous night.